Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something you've probably caught yourself watching, maybe even for longer than you'd like to admit. We're talking about the surprising science behind satisfying, colorful ASMR. You know, watching someone sort beads or slice colorful kinetic sand. At first glance, it might just look like internet eye candy. And let's be honest, it is kind of funny that we can sit absolutely mesmerized by someone just dragging a dull knife through plastic sand for 10 minutes straight. But actually, there is real neurological machinery at work here. Let's unpack exactly why these simple actions keep us so hooked and how they interact with our brains to create this profound sense of calm.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do rainbow ASMR videos keep people watching? I mean, on the surface, the answer seems super obvious, right? They're incredibly colorful, they're undeniably satisfying, and they just look clean and simple. But the deeper answer? It's a whole lot more interesting than just pretty colors.
The real secret here boils down to something called cognitive ease. Basically, it gives your brain order without demanding any effort in return. Think about it for a sec. When you're watching these visuals, you don't have to solve a puzzle. The scene clearly tells your brain exactly what's coming. You watch as red effortlessly shifts to orange, orange to yellow, yellow to green. You watch a messy, chaotic pile suddenly become a perfectly sorted pattern. What you're actually witnessing is a small visual problem getting perfectly resolved. And for our brains, that sense of completion just feels incredibly calming.
Section 1. The Hidden Engine, the Science of Prediction. And this brilliantly illustrates a fascinating mechanism going on right below the surface. Back in 2010, Carl Friston published some incredible work in Nature Review's Neuroscience on a theory called predictive processing. Basically, this theory describes the human brain as this engine that's constantly, and I mean constantly, comparing what it expects to happen with the sensory input it's actually receiving. In a rainbow ASMR scene, this prediction loop is just incredibly gentle. You expect the next color in the rainbow. You expect the next placement of a block, or that next small tapping sound. And when it arrives exactly as you expected, boom, your brain gets a little confirmation. It's a small confirmation, sure, but it repeats over and over. And those gentle, repeated visual confirmations are exactly what hold our attention so completely.
To really wrap our heads around why this works, think about suspense for a minute, like in a nail-biting thriller movie. Suspense raises your tension because your brain literally does not know what is coming next. It is on high alert. Well, ASMR does the exact opposite. It lowers tension because the brain has more than enough information to feel completely safe. You know the object is going to be handled slowly. You know the colors are going to stay organized. You know the sounds will remain soft. Because of that extreme predictability, paying attention feels entirely voluntary instead of forced.
Section 2. The Physical Anchor. Why Real Sounds Matter.
Now, ASMR is almost always talked about as a sound experience, and that auditory component is absolutely crucial. Even in highly visual stuff, sound turns a visual pattern into a physical event. A perfectly colorful visual without a satisfying sound, it kind of lacks dimension. It feels flat. But when you add the sound of a bead dropping, or a plastic click, or that crunchy candy pour, it gives the action real weight. The sound anchors those bright colors to reality. It makes the entire sensory experience feel complete and tangible.
Section 3. The Scientific Evidence, Measurable Calming Effects. Let's move to this and see how this builds into the measurable psychological and physiological research behind these videos. There is actually genuine research backing up this careful middle ground of gentle sensory content. A 2015 study by Barratt and Davis found that viewers commonly use these videos for relaxation, sleep, and mood support. Building right on top of that, Poerio and colleagues in 2018 discovered that people who respond to ASMR actually show they physically reduced heart rate and an improved mood while watching. And then Fredborg, Clark, and Smith in 2017 linked the ASMR response to specific individual personality differences, specifically traits like openness and sensory sensitivity. Now, I do want to make a quick aside here. It's incredibly important to clarify that a colorful video is absolutely not a medical treatment for insomnia or anxiety or depression. ASMR is a complementary wellness tool. It's a relaxation aid, not medical care. But this data strongly suggests that for the folks who do respond to it, gentle sensory content has very real, very measurable calming effects.
Section 4. Finding the Sensory Balance, the Formula, and the Limits. To give you some context, research by Palmer, Schloss, and Sammartino highlights that our color preference is heavily influenced by emotional meaning. I mean, a rainbow isn't just a bunch of random colors thrown together, it's a specific sequence.
And a gradient drastically reduces the visual work for the viewer. It lets your eye travel naturally from one side to the other without having to fight the image.
And within that visual sequence, we get this fascinating loop effect. When an action repeats with just a slight variation, like maybe the hand picks up just one object at a time, or the sound changes just a tiny bit as the colors shift, your brain just settles right in. The repetition essentially tells your brain, hey, nothing dangerous is happening here, but the slight variation whispers, keep watching if you want to. That specific combo is incredibly powerful. It's safe enough to let you totally relax, but just varied enough to keep you interested.
So the crucial point is that this only works when there are strict limits. The calm version of rainbow ASMR absolutely requires restraint. We're talking soft lighting, slow pacing, clear framing, adequate space between the sounds, and a super simple visual goal. If you push it too far, the whole thing breaks. If the screen is too bright, the colors become overstimulating. Fast cuts? Those will quickly become stressful. Loud plastic sounds can instantly turn from satisfying to sharp and irritating. And if there are just way too many objects, the scene suddenly feels cluttered instead of clean. The magic is entirely in the restraint.
Because the ASMR response is highly personal, knowing how to safely and effectively use this stuff is key. If you're using rainbow ASMR as an aid at night for sleep, you'll want to follow these steps. First, always lower your screen brightness and volume. Second, let your eyes softly rest on the overall pattern instead of darting around trying to chase every little movement. Notice that the sequence feels soothing. If it's still way too bright, just switch to an audio-only or a darker sleep video. And third, if you're using it while you're working or studying, treat it strictly as background support. You don't need to stare at every single second. The goal is just to create a gentle sensory environment that makes your attention feel a little less scattered.
Rainbow ASMR might look incredibly simple, but as we've seen today, simple does not mean shallow. It works because our brains literally crave order they can easily predict. It works because a color gradient gives the eye a natural, totally effortless path to follow. And it works because small, real-world sounds make the visuals feel grounded and physical. Ultimately, a few bright objects on a table can literally become a calm place for your brain to rest. There's this quote that beautifully summarizes the whole shebang. The rainbow is not only decoration. In ASMR, it can become a map.
Which leaves me with a question for all of you. Everyone's sensory preferences are completely unique. So tell me, do these bright, structured rainbow visuals actually help you relax? Or are you someone who prefers darker, audio-focused sleep ASMR? Think about what sensory inputs make your brain feel the safest. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.